we'll go ahead and get this going for you. Again, thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Brian Lammers. I'm the Senior Sales Support Manager here at Powernet. And today we're going to talk about selling Microsoft Teams and using Powernet as the voice provider for that software. So we've got some good content here for you. Really, it's just an incredibly huge opportunity for all of you in the channel. I think Microsoft Teams is well over 250 million users currently. So a lot of folks are using it. A lot more continue to be added daily. And we'll see as we go through some of the sales process that, even if somebody already has Microsoft Teams, how Powernet can help with that. And then, of course, as you find new opportunities, we can help as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. Again, thank you for joining us, and thank you for all you do in the channel for Powernet. So today we're just going to go over, typical customer environments. We'll talk a little bit about what direct routing is, which is basically Powernet being the voice provider versus Microsoft being the voice provider. Look at some target customers, and then talk really about why Powernet is the way to go when you have a Teams opportunity. It really comes down to experience and support, and just having the team in place and the people in place to really help your clients make this transition or move to the Powernet side of things with Microsoft Teams, and how that all looks from a support standpoint, from an integration standpoint, and we'll talk through those. So many of you are familiar with Microsoft Teams. It is an all-in-one communications platform, so it works very well for small to medium-sized businesses, particularly those who are on an old PSTN phone system, or they're with another hosted provider, or they're using Microsoft Teams today. But the nice thing about the Teams is very powerful. It connects employees, so it works very well in remote scenarios. So people can be across the country and they can see if someone's on a call, they can see if someone's in a meeting, they can quickly chat, communicate through video, voice, and conferencing. So a number of different functionalities that really bring a company that could be disparate, could have employees all over the place, really bring a company together on a single platform and deliver that simplicity for the client. And that's what most of our channel partners who are selling the Microsoft Teams with Powernet are really pushing, the simplicity of it, and how while there's a lot of moving parts, Powernet can manage all of that for your clients, and then they just get to enjoy the functionality of the Microsoft Teams and all the advantages that come with that. So again, many clients have different platforms they're using to communicate both internally and with customers and clients. Microsoft Teams brings that into a single platform, again, for simplicity, for speed, and a lower total cost of ownership. Some hosted customers today are perhaps overpaying for a lot of features they don't use, and Microsoft Teams is really a nice package at a reasonable cost from a licensing standpoint. So again, it really connects all of the communications. So with the employees in a particular business. So again, simplicity, ease of use. People may say different things about Microsoft, but they certainly make things easy to use and intuitive. And Teams is no exception there. So we've used it internally for some time and have a great deal of experience with helping our clients move over to the Teams platform. So it is a fully hosted system. Microsoft will hold that in the cloud for your clients. a lot of redundancy, a lot of, it's very highly available. Outages are very rare. And then the other nice thing too is, particular customers are going to have their own apps and different type of software that they're using internally, whether it be Salesforce or another CRM system, or perhaps they have a call center within their business. And, we can help integrate all of that using Microsoft Teams and perhaps some other integration capabilities that we have. So getting into the direct routing, and so if you purchase Microsoft 360 at a level that includes the Teams and the calling features, that will put the customer will then be on Microsoft's voice services. And really what PowerNet is looking to help the channel with is to use PowerNet's voice experience rather than putting that client on Microsoft's voice service. Number of reasons that you would want to do that. First and foremost is support and experience. So PowerNet's been doing voice services for over 30 years now. We have a dedicated voice team internally. We're all US based from a support standpoint. And really, we've kind of seen it all as far as voice services. We're our own CLEC, we have our own RESPORG. We can handle the toll free. We can handle, routing changes. We can handle rollovers in the event of an outage and things like that. So really putting the experience of PowerNet behind this Teams integration is a key for clients. Microsoft obviously supports their voice services, but you're going to get a different level of support from the PowerNet team just because of our experience and in the fact that we've been doing it and have all these other capabilities from a voice side. So obviously Teams has got all of its features as far as the collaboration, video calling, again, everything that we've touched on. But then with PowerNet direct routing, we have a whole host of other opportunities. And again, putting the PowerNet team behind your clients is going to give them a level of service that is unmatched. Oops. So just a simple diagram here on how the call flow actually works. So there's still, they're going to place all their calls through the Teams platform. That's going to run out to the Microsoft 365, out to the internet, session border controller, to the carrier, which we're looking to be Power, and then back out to the external caller. So pretty simple call flow, easy to troubleshoot, easy to track and trace calls and make sure that it's flowing correctly. And if it's not, then, again, PowerNet can support and help make sure those things are taken care of. So when the channel is out there looking at opportunities, obviously we need to know, are they an existing Microsoft 365 user? What are their license levels? And that's really going to drive the continuance of the conversation. So we need to know where they're at on a contract level. We need to know what level of license they're at, and we will help the client through all of this. This is not and we'll help you through all of it as well. It's not something you need to be an expert in. It's really just a matter of saying, hey, I've got an existing Microsoft Teams user. Here's the licenses they have. Here's when the current agreement expires. Here's what level they're at. And we will help through all those things and can put a real nice proposal together to show what it looks like. And obviously we can have calls as well to talk about the integration, to talk about PowerNet's experience and how we can support them through this. Of course, PowerNet will layer SIP trunking on top of the voice services. So for you in the channel, you're looking at not only making money on the licensing itself of the team's licenses, you're also looking at making residual monthly income on the SIP trunking, which is going to be a little more aggressive rate than the customer would get through Microsoft themselves. Of course, Powernet being a CLEC, we can get DIDs all over the country. So a lot of different applications for that. If it's a call center customer and they want to be able to outpulse certain numbers when they're calling certain customers, we can handle all that for them. So looking at the opportunities that are out there, again, we talked about the number of Teams users nationwide, north of 250 million. So there's certainly a lot of folks out there familiar with Teams, and it's continues to grow rapidly. So again, it's a simple and effective phone system replacement for small to medium business, and it's very challenging for competitors to provide all that Microsoft Teams provides at the cost that they can do that. And so any customers who are either on-premise phone systems or perhaps a competitive hosted platform is a good opportunity for a Microsoft Teams integration. If you've got a lot of remote workers, again, of course, all the mobile apps are available at the correct licensing level. So you could have people, working from their homes, working on vacation, working mobile, all staying connected to the same platform for simplicity. And then another nice thing is, again, I mentioned earlier, a particular business could have, say, a 20-seat call center supporting their customers, and then they've got 20 call center reps, and then maybe they have 80 other office employees. So they could have a need for a contact center solution that is more feature rich and more targeted towards contact centers, such as Genesys, Five9, Nice and Contact. We can work with all that. We sell Genesys primarily, and we have a lot of experience there, but the integrations are available for the other platforms as well. So it's nice because you could have the contact center is working within, say, a Genesys platform targeted towards contact center functionality. All the other employees are business users just with normal needs of calling and conferencing and things like that. We can integrate those two systems within the Microsoft Teams platform, so it's very seamless when employees are trying to talk with one another, and it's a very effective and simple sale for that. So we'll dive into a couple sales scenarios here and just talk through a little bit. A customer could be on an on-prem system, or they could be on another hosted system, and maybe they're not happy with that, or they're looking for some other functionality. And we can address that with Microsoft Teams. Again, we would transition that customer to Powernet SIP services, and then bring voice to their team platform. Again, our team has a very strong, a lot of strong experience in doing that, and we handle it front to back. So, the client would be working strictly with Powernet. They don't have to worry about waiting in queues or long lines for support from direct Microsoft. We can layer that Microsoft licensing on top if they don't have it in place. If they do have it in place, we can still work with that. So say a particular client maybe just signed with Microsoft Teams yesterday. So you're out there talking with them. They say, hey, last week we signed this agreement with Microsoft Teams licensing. We can still be the voice provider for that. So even if they're under contract with Microsoft for the licensing, we can be the voice provider versus Microsoft being the voice provider. And for you in the channel, that's more residual income. And the other thing is too, we do a good job with that, and we bring that level of service to the client, and they see that and value that. Then when that licensing is due for renewal, we can handle that as well, which will give you another shot in the arm on commissions. So we really just need to see what kind of system they have today, how many users. These are just some standard discovery questions for you, and whether they're an existing 365 or Teams customer. Some questions that may come up during discovery or when they're considering, when they're having that conversation with you about their solution is, they'll want to know, are we up to date on, will our system be able to handle Teams? So really, as long as they're on the latest operating system, that's not an issue. And then phones and handsets, it's nice because you don't have to necessarily standardize if you don't want to, or you don't have to be pigeonholed into a particular type of hardware. Any phone or headset that works with the user's laptop, desktop will work on this system. And then we've got options, and if they've just got conference room phones and some shared resources, we have a lower level license for that, so we can save them a little money versus providing a full license there. And then we always recommend having, they've got their cellular, which is going to be tied to Teams, so that's some redundancy there. And then we also always recommend a couple internet connections, whether that be a standard circuit or a broadband circuit, and then something else on top of that, whether that may be a wireless broadband or something else, just to make sure that they can stay active if there's any internet outages there. Second one we'll talk about is, I touched on a little bit, you've got a client who has 80 business users and 20 contact center users. So we can handle that very easily. Again, Microsoft has integration paths for Genesys, Nice and Contact, Five9, those folks. So again, we're looking to simplify things for the client, and I think many times that's where you're seeing your best successes, and is when you can say, here's a solution that works. It works well. It gives you all the functionality that you desire, that's important to you in your business, but yet we don't feel like we need to allocate a lot of resources to managing it. And that's the nice thing about kind of putting that in PowerNet's hands, is PowerNet can handle the Microsoft licensing, we can handle the voice side of things, and we can handle the contact center integration. And then another nice thing about kind of putting all that in one bucket with PowerNet for you in the channel is the fact that we can also layer managed services on top of that. So every desktop, laptop that's connecting to the Microsoft Teams, so every user essentially, we can manage. We're a managed services provider, so we can manage all that equipment, the desktops, the laptops, servers. So we can really take the simplification for the client to the next level. And that's really what your clients are looking for you to do, is give me a good solution that I don't have to overpay for, but yet, we feel like it's very simple for us, and it just allows us to continue to do business without allocating resources to supporting it. And then, obviously when you have a contact center opportunity, we'd want to know which one they're using today. That'll help us on our integration path. So one of the things that comes up on the contact center side is, there's concerns about, okay, well, if I've got Genesys for the contact center and I got Microsoft Teams for everybody else, how do we bridge that and make sure that it's all one single system. And that's what the integration is there for. So each business group, whether it's the contact center or the business users, no issues still using those two systems. But we can integrate them so it appears as one, and it all works through the Teams platform. Contact center keeps all their functionality, business users keep all their functionality, but yet they can connect on the same platform. And then, some questions that may come up from the client is, well, why wouldn't I, if I'm using Genesys today for our call center, why wouldn't I just use Genesys for my business users? And it really comes down to some cost savings. There's so much functionality in like a Genesys or a NICE inContact system that most business users would not, use. So you can save your client a little bit of money by going down to the Teams licensing for the business users. And then yes, so Powernet, again, we can function as the single voice provider for both platforms. Again, we've got 30 years in the voice business, kind of seen it all, done it all. And we, again, lots of moving parts, but we are so good at managing those that, for the client, for your client, it's a very simple solution. And the support level is we have that great experience in supporting these types of services, whether that's ring to changes or rollovers, or anything you can think of that you may run into a little more hurdles trying to get that type of support direct from Microsoft. So again, we talked about, I touched a little bit on customers that have signed agreements. So they'll have to honor that licensing agreement with Microsoft or with another provider, but we can still, first of all, we can still do the voice today on those. We can start that process immediately, regardless of contract. But we can also add, so say they have 50 employees today, they hire 51 tomorrow, we can begin taking over those additional users at any time outside of the current licensing agreement. And so, the other thing is a client may have gotten their Microsoft licensing through a particular partner that they enjoy working with, so they really don't have any desire to move the voice services on the Teams over to Powernet. That's fine if they don't want to move the licensing over to Powernet, that's fine. So even if the licensing is with another provider or direct with Microsoft, Powernet can provide the voice services for that customer, and that's going to give you residual income and also give you the opportunity to sell additional things like managed services and any number of other services that Powernet provides. Touched on this a little bit. We've kind of been there 30 years as a voice provider, so we have connections to all the tier 1 providers. Again, really just looking to simplify it for your clients. I know, that one of the nicest things you can say from a client standpoint is, man, something's not working, or I have a question, or I want to make a change. I know who to call, because I don't have all these different vendors for all these different types of services. And now I got to get out my decoder ring and figure out which one I need to call for this particular problem. Powernet kind of rolls it all up. Again, we handle the licensing, we handle the call center integration, we handle the voice services. So there's no mystery with your client on who to call when something needs to be addressed. And, there's so many providers out there. Powernet really drives home internally the fact that we have to support our customers better than anyone out there. And so we really push that customer experience because that's honestly our key differentiator. And then, the other nice thing is, again, like I said, you can layer those managed services, manage their desktops, laptops, servers, manage their security. So it really becomes this, solve an initial problem for your client, but then you've got all these other opportunities to continue to simplify it for your client, but also continue to put more money in your pocket by adding additional services that will benefit the customer.